Hey folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of MC Commute starring Polaris 2025 Slingshot SL manual. This is a three-wheel autocycle, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. Who's ready to go for a drive? All right, everyone, there it is. Polaris 2025 Slingshot SL manual transmission three-wheel autocycle. We'll get what that means in a little bit, but that means we have two wheels in the front, one wheel in the back. This thing is made by Polaris Industries in the United States, designed for all of you folks out there who want something that splits the difference between a four-wheel automobile and a two-wheel motorcycle. Look at this thing. It has a really long and low stance. This is powered by a 1997cc inline-4 engine, liquid-cooled, dual-overhead camshafts with a 16-valve cylinder head. It also has a 5-speed manual transmission that puts power back to that 20-inch rear wheel via a belt final drive. All right, everyone, enough talking about this vehicle. Let's swing a leg inside the cockpit and see what it's like to drive. All right, everybody, here we are inside the 2025 Polaris Slingshot SL manual transmission vehicle. It takes some interesting contortions to get in this vehicle, but we're in. We also have an automobile style safety belt, which we use to lock ourselves into the cockpit. This vehicle has a proximity key fob, which we have positioned in this center console thing. Here it is, proximity key fob, which has to be in close proximity for the vehicle to start. Then let's press the start button and away we go. Of course, we have a parking brake right here we can use to keep the vehicle from moving at a standstill if you're in neutral, but we like to leave it in gear. That's kind of how we roll. All right, everyone, right away getting inside this vehicle. This thing is very long and low, but once you're seated in the cockpit, it feels very much like a sports car. A lot of room. We have an adjustment of seat. There's a seat position adjustment up front, and we can also move the angle of the seat back. Right now we can't move the seat any farther back though, because we have the seat all the way slid to the rear. It's also worth mentioning that there's some storage beneath both driver and passenger seat. We also have a glove box and that center storage area where we have the proximity key fob. Now, this vehicle is really at home in these slower than 50-mile-per-hour corners. This thing actually feels very sporty and real well connected. It's powered by a 1997cc liquid-cooled inline-4 engine, dual-overhead camshafts, the 16-valve cylinder head. This engine is manufactured by Polaris, but it's based similarly to GM's Ecotec engine, which Polaris used to use in the old days. This engine also powers its RZR 4-cylinder UTV. It's mated to a 5-speed ACE transmission, and we have the manual transmission vehicle that puts power back to that 20-inch rear wheel via a belt final drive. God, this thing's a hoot. It is a lot of fun meshing between the gears. The gear shifter feels nice and tight. There's a good amount of throw between the gears, but the transmission feels nice and tight and real high quality. It's really fun to go through the gears. Just like a manual transmission automobile, we have 3 pedals. Our left foot on the clutch, middle is brake, and the right is throttle. And it drives exactly like a manual transmission automobile. The engine drinks from a nearly 10-gallon capacity fuel tank, and we've been getting around 19.5 mpg. The way we drive this vehicle, right now we're cruising in top gear at 40 miles per hour, and we're pulling just south of 2,000 RPM. Keeping tabs on everything is this digital LCD display. This is the same type of display Polaris has been using on the Slingshot for a long time. It also shared in its RZR UTVs. It works good, looks good. We also have the 7-inch color TFT display, which is also touchscreen compatible. How cool is that? Let's see if we can play some music. We got speaker controls right here on the steering wheel. Let's listen to the music. Oh yeah, it's my jam. Oh wow, this sounds awesome. These two speakers, these two Rockford Fosgate speakers sound just magnificent. This is a really nice sounding sound system. Oh, Morgan Whalen 21 Savage, my favorite. What do you think? How does that sound, folks? I think it sounds really good. The sound system in this 2025 Polaris Slingshot SL is much improved from the previous versions which we've operated in years past. It sounds awesome, and it's all touchscreen compatible. You can also use the switch gear on the steering wheel. We also have GPS, so we can keep metrics of our ride. Vehicle speed is limited to 125 miles per hour in the Slingshot SL, but I would say that's probably a good thing. Driving over 85, 90 miles per hour in this thing gets a little squirrely feeling. Again, if you keep the speedometer below 65 miles per hour, the handling on this thing's actually pretty fun. It does get a little bit loose above 60, 65 miles per hour, but below these speeds, it actually feels real connected. It feels almost like you're in a go-kart. If you keep the speeds lower, you're definitely going to appreciate the handling. When you do hit bumps in this vehicle, you certainly feel the bumps. Yes, there's double wishbone front suspension and a rear shock, but you definitely feel the bumps in this vehicle, and there is quite a bit of bump steer. Meaning when you hit a bump, the vehicle will go left or right. So it's better at low speeds, but at higher speeds, it gets a little move. There's quite a bit of movement. In terms of vibration, this engine is pretty smooth. You feel a little bit of vibration, but not too bad at all. It's actually a pretty smooth engine. It has a really nice sound and character, even when we're lugging it at low RPM and a tall gear. It's got a real nice sound, right? Real nice character. It feels pretty sporty. Of course, in the state of California, this vehicle is defined as an autocycle. What that means is you have to have a California driver's license, but you do not need a motorcycle endorsement to operate this vehicle, just a driver's license. Both rider and passenger do, however, have to be donning a DOT legal helmet. You don't need to wear a full face helmet like we're wearing, but we're safety first, so that's why we're wearing a full face helmet. This vehicle drives very low to the ground, and it's not subject to any automobile safety standards, so it's probably a good idea to be wearing a full face helmet. But yeah, this thing gets up and goes. What a fun little vehicle. Past that car like it's nothing. Let's pass this guy. Get out in front where we belong. There we go, folks. Out in front where we belong. I like this oversized fly screen. Does a good job blocking the elements. Really good clear view of what's going on in front of you. The hood line's nice. It's easy. It's good visibility. Easy to see what's going on. Out back is another thing, but we do like these rear view mirrors, which do a good job of showing you what's out back. When you put the vehicle in reverse, there's a backup camera that automatically illuminates and displays on this display that gives you a good field of view what's going on behind you. The turning radius on this three-wheel autocycle, it definitely requires a little bit of room, but you'd be surprised how agile this vehicle is for a 1,700-pound vehicle. Yes, it's very long and low and wide, but you can get in and out of spots fairly well with this vehicle. It's not nearly as cumbersome as it appears when you're looking at it. Speaking of looks, this thing was inspired by a predatory bird. So that's kind of why it has this aggressive styling. And this vehicle certainly is a head turner, especially in this lime green paint job. This thing stands out on the road, and if you're someone who's really looking for attention, you're going to get it with this $29,000 Polaris Slingshot SL manual transmission vehicle. It's fun just cruising around. Of course, we have cruise control. Let's turn that on. Cruise control is on, set. Now we can cruise right at 55 miles per hour. This vehicle is cool because it splits the difference between a four-wheel vehicle and a motorcycle. Gives you that wind in the air feeling without having to need to balance. But that kind of begs the question, at $29,000, why wouldn't you just buy a Mazda Miata? Well, that's certainly an option. Again, this vehicle is not subject to any U.S. automobile safety standards. There's no airbags, there's no crumple zones. But if you're someone who wants a motorcycle-ish feel, then I could understand maybe why you would like this vehicle. Pretty much the biggest thing why these things are so cool is just they look crazy. They look crazy and they really stand out. They're really flashy vehicles. All right, I'm going to disengage cruise control by actuating that center brake. Oh yeah. Yeah, let's give her the berries. Yeah, she goes. Again, this engine, this powertrain configuration has a really pleasing sound to it. Makes driving fun. There is some sort of crash protection in these crash bars above in case you roll over, which gives the occupant some level of safety. But again, this vehicle's so low to the ground, you do not want to be getting an accident in this thing. Triple disc hydraulic brakes keep speed in check. brakes are a little bit mushy feeling, but they still do a good job of getting the vehicle slowed down. Of course, we have always on ABS, which completely mitigates any instability when using the brakes. We have that parking brake, which is connected to the rear brake. I'm not gonna lie, below 60-65 miles per hour, this thing is just a hoot to drive. It has a lot of lateral grip and a real sporty character. Feels kind of like you're riding a go-kart, but kind of not too. And it is actually pretty fun. At higher speeds, freeway speeds, it gets a little darty. I certainly wouldn't want to ride this thing I wouldn't want to do a fuel tank on it and drive it cross country, but just around town, having fun on back roads, I think it's pretty fun. Well, everyone, that was a really fun drive in Polaris' 2025 Slingshot SL manual 3-wheel autocycle. This thing's certainly a hoot to drive at speeds underneath 65 miles per hour, and it looks awesome. Let's show you some of that storage space we were talking about. Again, there's the lever for the seat, so you can move it forward, and then we have some storage here, which we can put a cooler for drinks or a helmet. Slide this back. Then we have the center console where we can put the keys and other things. Then if we go to the other side, there's the fuel cap where you fill up the 10-gallon capacity fuel tank. There's that lever for the lever kind of fell off right there, but that's okay. And then we can move this forward here, which exposes more storage right here. If you can see it, more storage right there. A little bit plasticky feeling, but still pretty cool. And that is a rundown in the cockpit of this 2025 Polaris Slingshot SL. Overall, a very, very neat machine. Is it worth $29,000? You're gonna have to be the judge. But if you want a machine that's gonna stand out on the road like no other, you should check out this 2025 Polaris Slingshot SL. Well, everyone, that wraps up today's MC Commute. We'll see you in the next episode.